After I graduated Cornell, I went to work for Coldwell Banker, a real estate firm in Manhattan. And then after that, I worked for my father and uncle. They started the Albanese organization in the 50s and worked there for 3 or 4 years. And then I decided that I wanted to go to law school and pursue higher education. Went to law school and then went to practice as a lawyer, as a litigator for a couple of years. Decided I wanted to go back into business and went back to the family business, and I've been there for, I guess, about 25 years now. The law degree is invaluable, dealing with equity partners, operating agreements, zoning issues, environmental issues, lender issues. I didn't go to law school for the purpose of enhancing my development career, but it worked out that way. I decided that I didn't really enjoy being a litigator and practicing law, but the education was invaluable. And the third question as to where I see the Albanese organization going, when I joined the firm, we were about 10 employees. Now we're 40 to 50. I don't see us continuing that type of expansion. I think we're an excellent size right now to be we're a mid to large size developer. I just want to keep on doing the types of successful projects that we've been doing. You know, when I started at the firm, it was really a project a year. Now we generally are involved in 2, 3, 4 projects per year, which is manageable, and I want to just continue to develop great projects, great buildings. Green buildings are better buildings. We strive to build better buildings, better mousetraps, and in the long run, we get higher rents, and I think the buildings have higher value. It's hard to quantify, you know, the return on costs, but in downtimes, what I consider better designed and finished buildings have outperformed our competitors, especially in the down markets. In the up markets, everyone does well. In the down markets is when worser buildings and worser projects get weeded out, and ultimately many of them fail. So I think it's a good investment because we've always strived to just build more creative, more exciting projects that the tenants or residents enjoy working or living in. Our green buildings, the Solaire was the first gold LEED residential tower in the country. At the time, it opened in 2003. It was novel. Green buildings were novel. We had news agencies from all over the country touring the building. It was week after week. The governor of California, Schwarzenegger, toured it. The governor of New York. Gorbachev came to tour the building. Back then, it was, you know, green buildings was very new, very exciting. So in these green buildings, for example, we draw in fresh air from the roof, pump it into every apartment, and refilter it inside the apartments. That's unique. The indoor air quality in our buildings are superior than the outdoor air quality of Manhattan, maybe not Ithaca, and I think residents appreciate that. The buildings have less VOCs, so whether it's carpeting or cabinets or adhesives, we choose materials that have very low, and paint very low or no VOCs, which is volatile organic compounds. We get higher rents and have better occupancies, yes. As far as the features, the fresh air was a big component, and in that building, we not only brought fresh air into every apartment, but every room. So every room was ducted with fresh air. And keep in mind, the wintertime, the summertime in New York, people don't open their windows. So bringing in fresh filtered air to each room was a great feature, and a feature that residents, buyers noticed and appreciated. We have photovoltaic cells, solar panels on the building that create energy. Building is more efficient from a water standpoint. We capture rainwater, reuse it. We have black water treatment plant, so all the water goes into basements, fully treated, and reused for cooling tower, irrigation, and toilet water. So the toilets are actually piped separately, which is expensive, but it saves a lot of water. We also, we have a small cogeneration plant that creates electricity from gas. Generally, we can't produce electricity cheaper than, say, Con Edison. However, the exhaust heat from that generator is captured and used to heat the hot water. And we also, the brakes on the elevators capture that energy like an electric car, and the energy captured from the brakes is put back into the system. Green roofs, which serve as insulation, as well as a great feature for the residents. It's probably one of the nicer green roofs that I've seen in Manhattan, overlooking the Hudson River and the Statue of Liberty. I think I've covered, and generally, in general, the skin of the building is tight, which makes a more efficient building. The HVAC system is very efficient. It's a 4-pipe system. I won't bore you with the details, but those were the goals, to make a very, very energy efficient building with great space for the residents, great indoor air quality, the water is filtered twice, etc. As far as the biggest challenges, it's a lot of work. You know, at the time we built the Solaire, a lot of these technologies, while they existed, they were not all incorporated into one building. So a lot of design work, a lot of research on how to design, implement, and execute these green features all into one building. What keeps me up at night? Real estate is a very risky business. There are always a lot of challenges, a lot of curveballs. Projects projects rarely go as planned. There are always changes in circumstances, problems that arise, whether it's on the construction end, the financing end, the leasing end. So it's these different changes in circumstances or curveballs that will keep us up at night. Not just one thing, it just depends on what month you ask me and what project it's happening to. When we built the Solaire, we were half a mile from the World Trade Towers. 9/11 happened. Our construction lender, even though the building was under construction, we had issues with the construction lender. They wouldn't fund the loan as we had closed it. We had to get alternate financing, bond financing with the, but at the end it all worked out. The Visionaire, a very successful project. It was downtown Manhattan, and we completed the building and started delivering apartments in October of 2008, which is the month after Lehman crashed, or the month Lehman crashed. Most downtown condos in that era failed, and taken back by the banks. People lost their equity. We actually were able to work the problem, and the building was on time, on budget, stunning building, and it was 50% sold. So the challenge then was, how do we get these 50%, 115 buyers to close in what's probably the worst financial atmosphere in our lifetime? And We were successful in getting just about everyone to close but 5 people. So now the project was deemed successful, as opposed to other buildings where people weren't closing and walking away from deposits. We ultimately sold out the building and made a profit, which was probably unheard of in downtown Manhattan in that era. So those are the situations where problems are put on the table, and it's a matter of thinking creatively and solving the problems, working hard to figure out those solutions and moving things forward. They need to think. They need to learn how to think like a business person, think outside the box. There are a lot of books about thinking outside the box, solving problems, understanding how businessmen, businesswomen handle things, whether it's Bill Gates or Elon Musk or, so learning how to think, learning how to be creative. In our industry, we try to, it's very competitive. When I look at a project, I want to know what is my competitive advantage to try to buy that project. And it's in how we design it, execute it, think about it, position it. So thinking, and the obvious, working hard. It's a tough industry, and many hours working hard, attention to detail, whether it's in the design, a letter to a lender, just being a perfectionist, executing well, working hard, and being thorough.